Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Now, today we have a very important question to answer, and that question is, who is the strongest character in Poppy Playtime? Now, we're going to be answering this question in the only way I know how, and that is by doing a bracket, all right, of the most popular / strongest characters in the verse. So stick around until the end. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our first matchup, that being DogDay and Yarnaby. Now, if this was DogDay before, he was missing his lower half, I think he would stand a chance. But let's be real. Not DogDay. Let's be real. Yarnaby is huge. All Yarnaby has to do is open up its mouth, maybe jump on DogDay. And yeah, he's like DogDay was on the verge of death, and now he's fighting Yarnaby. I'm sorry. Obviously, this is an easy dub for Yarnaby, so we're going to go ahead and move him on forward. Next up, though, we have Huggy Wuggy versus PJ Pug-a-Pillar. Now, on one hand, we have the insane Huggy, who pretty much fell down pretty much hundreds, if not 1,000 feet down that shaft and survived. Chased a player, did all this crazy stuff, got stabbed. Some people say he survived that too. We don't know. But he's gone through it all, pretty much. Huggy Wuggy has gone through it all. And he's extremely durable. He has crazy strength, right? He's pretty fast. He caught a deer in the forest. And, he was going pretty crazily fast in that video. So he has some insane feats, but apparently PJ Pug-a-Pillar can move extremely fast as well, because in Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, there was this glitch where if you did something, I don't remember exactly what it was, but if you did something, PJ Pug-a-Pillar would move really, really fast. Now, I'm 90% sure that's a glitch, right? A bunch of people were saying, oh, PJ Pug-a-Pillar, he's crazy strong and stuff because of how fast he is, but that's a glitch. I'm pretty sure he isn't actually that fast, but for the sake of this video, let's pretend he is. Huggy still got that, right? Now, how is this going to go? How is this fight going to go? I mean, PJ Pug-a-Pillar is going to be coming up fast, trying to attack Huggy. And I guess what Huggy has to do would probably be like strangle him, kind of grab PJ Pug-a-Pillar to start, maybe start hitting him around, picking him up, throwing him, stuff like that. I mean, they are about the same size. So I guess because Huggy can't really eat him, maybe bite him. Huggy could bite PJ Pug-a-Pillar, but PJ Pug-a-Pillar could bite Huggy. This one, it's definitely closer than the last one, but I still think Huggy moves on just because, Huggy is very, very durable, right? And he's also, I'm pretty sure he's smarter than PJ Pug-a-Pillar. So we're going to move Huggy on. And now, next up, we have Miss Delight versus Doey. And you know exactly how this one's going to play out, right? Miss Delight is not making it any further in the tournament, right? Doey is one-shotting her. He's going to grab her. And yeah, that's it, the end of her. He's going to eat her, or, it's Doey. We don't need to discuss this. Let's move Doey forward. And now, for our next mashup, we have the GOAT Pianosaurus versus Mommy Longlegs. I'm really, really sad to say this, but I think Mommy Longlegs takes the crown on this one because in Chapter 4, the way Pianosaurus died, right? He was running towards the player. Doey grabbed him, started flinging him around, all that jazz. Mommy Longlegs can do the exact same thing. She has a stretchy arm. She can climb on the ceiling, all of that. So she could just maybe grab Pianosaurus and then, kind of flop him around like Doey did now. I think Pianosaurus might have a stronger chance against Mommy Longlegs than he did with Doey. Because it would be a bit easier, I think, to fight back Mommy Longlegs because he has his claws, right? Because he can actually hurt her, unlike him not being able to hurt Doey. But sadly, I still do think that Mommy Longlegs is going to move on. Now, we have a really, really unfair purple matchup, and that is Lily Lovebraids versus CatNap. And you know what? Maybe it isn't as unfair as I think. Let's pretend the red smoke doesn't exist for a sec. All right, take that out of your brain for a little bit. Lily Lovebraids, right? She has pretty decent mobility because of her hair. She can run around. She can use it to kind of climb. I'm pretty sure. And also, it's pretty strong, so she could use it to stab CatNap. But CatNap's huge. He could literally just grab her, and then yeah, that's the end of her. And then also for red smoke, all he has to do is activate that red smoke, put her to sleep, and yeah, he can do whatever he wants to her. So obviously, CatNap's moving on. I don't even think I see a way of Lily Lovebraids winning unless she jumps him or something. But it's like a 9-to-1 ratio. Win-lose ratio for CatNap. So we're going to move him on. And now we have, this might be the most unfair matchup in the video. But then again, any matchup with the prototype is going to be unfair because we have the prototype versus Boxy Boo, all right? He's not in the games and he's not going to be in this bracket for much longer because this is obvious. The prototype moves on, all right? I'm not going to go into his feats just yet, but Boxy Boo's feats is being in Project Playtime and maybe being dead in a lore. That's about it, really. I mean, yeah, he can sling around, he can hide in a box. But like, what's hiding in a box to jump scare people and attack them gonna do against the prototype? Nothing. So we're gonna move the prototype on. Next up, though, we have the Doctor versus Chum. Now, let me make this clear for the video, right? Obviously, the Doctor's main body is that weird body machine thing, and then these little minions are, of course, his minions. Now, it would be kind of unfair to have people fight like the big body thing, you know what I'm saying? Especially because some of these characters don't have like human levels of intelligence in order to shut them off. So we're just gonna say one of his little drone slash minion body things versus whoever, just so you know it's a bit more fair, But we have, of course, the Doctor versus Chum. Now, the Doctor's minions are like very robotic and they're made of metal and stuff, but Chum has somehow survived in one of the deepest parts of the factory for probably decades, right? Near the prototype's like domain, and he's still around, right? Pretty much unscathed. Look at him. And he also has worked for the prototype, so he's probably done some crazy stuff. So Chum definitely has some feats that we know nothing about, but of course, since we know nothing about him, can't really take them in too much of consideration. But I think all Chum has to do is open that stomach, minion's gonna come running, and then Chum eats the minion, all right, or like chews him up. I think that's fair. The minion might get a couple the Doctor's minion might get a couple scratches off of Chum, but really, I'm gonna have to say if Chum moves on. Now, all of the minions, that's a different story. We're only gonna do one just to keep things fair for the video. Next up, though, we have Poppy Playtime herself versus Kissy Missy. Now, assuming Kissy Missy has the same strength as Huggy Wuggy, yeah, she's moving on. But even if we don't assume that, it's Poppy, right? A normal human being. If you just put a random viewer on the screen and had him fight Poppy, the random viewer would win. Sorry, no need for debate. This is obvious. Kissy Missy moves forward. Now we are moving on to round 2 of the bracket, starting off with Yarnaby versus Huggy Wuggy. Now, you got to realize, Yarnaby's huge, right? He's like 20 feet long or some craziness. Maybe not 20 feet, like 15-ish. He's pretty darn big. And also, he's like a lion, right? A lion versus a skinny Huggy Wuggy guy. The lion's probably going to move on. Now, and Yarnaby kind of doesn't because he got like stabbed and then lifted up and all that. So this one's really, really close because we all know how crazy durable Huggy is, but also it's Yarnaby, right? He has claws that could easily scratch open Huggy. Like, what could Huggy do to defeat Yarnaby? There's not really much Huggy himself could do against Yarnaby, right? Because, I mean, Yarnaby is the Doctor's like pet for a reason. The Doctor, you know, if Huggy was stronger, the Doctor would have picked him, but the Doctor picked Yarnaby. So I'm gonna be honest, I think Yarnaby moves on instead of Huggy Wuggy, which is crazy to say, but honestly, I do think that. Because, yeah, you could say Huggy has all the durability and all the strength and all that, but, like, he's skinny, right? All Yarnaby has to do is bite off one of Huggy's legs, and then Huggy's kind of cooked, right? Because he's going to be probably crawling on all fours. Well, threes or whatever. And then Yarnaby can just finish him off with his mouth or claw him open. Huggy just can't do anything against Yarnaby, which is why Yarnaby is moving forward. Now we have Doey versus Mommy Longlegs, and honestly, this would be a really interesting matchup in the game, because, like, one's Doe and one's a spider, right? Now, obviously, Doey is also one of the strongest characters in the verse, but Mommy, like, she's pretty strong as well. So this one's a tough one. This one is a very tough one, because both of them have kind of stretchy powers. Mommy Longlegs is probably more agile, because she's, like, not skinnier, but, like, more nimble. She's like a spider than Doey. So Doey would have to like walk or turn into dough and stuff, which the strength of him is kind of weird. I don't know. This one's extremely close, but I do think that Doey moves on just because of the fact that like Mommy can't really do anything. Just because of the fact that Mommy Longlegs can't really do anything to stop Doey, but Doey can do a lot of things to stop Mommy Longlegs, right? He could literally just like turn into dough and eat her. Well, it's like the big blob of dough and eat her, while Mommy Longlegs like can't really do nothing. So we're going to move Doey on. And now we have CatNap versus the prototype. And this one is also a really interesting lineup. But then again, it's the prototype, right? The prototype, like, he's a menace, all right? He is an absolute menace. I really do not see CatNap coming out alive on this one. And also, in the lore, technically CatNap would just like submit and let the prototype kill him. But that's lame for the bracket. So we're going to ignore that. I mean, this one's also very obvious. The prototype's going to move on. There's no way CatNap's beating him. I mean, maybe if the red smoke works on the prototype, but then again, well, no, because the red smoke, no, it can't work on a prototype because the prototype has the red smoke on his back. So if it affected the prototype, he wouldn't be using it. So yeah, the prototype moves on. Next up, though, we have Chum Chompkins versus Kissy Missy. Now, assuming Kissy Missy has Huggy Wuggy levels of strength and durability and all that, she moves on, right? She again moves on. But I do think that Chum Chompkins does have a good chance because, like, it's going to be kind of hard to take him down because I don't think Kissy Missy could, like, lift him up and hurt him. So she's going to have, like, scratch him or bite him and stuff. But if she gets her head close to Chum, Chum could just, like, open up his mouth stomach and chomp down on Kissy Missy. So Kissy Missy can't really get close to Chum Chompkins, but Chum Chompkins can get close to Kissy Missy. Because, like, that's, like, the only... I mean, unless Kissy Missy, like, rips off his arms or something, but then Chum could still maybe get a bite off. So this one's surprisingly close, and I don't know who I want to move on. I honestly do not know. But I think, ultimately, I think Kissy moves on just because of experience. Well, no, you can't even say experience, because Kissy fought the prototype, but Chum has worked for the prototype and has lived in one of the most dangerous areas of the factory, so he obviously also has experience. So it really, I don't know. This one, I truly do not know who moves on, but one of them has to move on, so we're going to have to go with Kissy Missy. All right, this one's literally 50-50. Either one moves forward, I wouldn't have a problem with. Because, yeah, this one, you know, they fought 10 times, each of them would win 5. Every single time. That's how it works, right? 50-50. So we're just going to move Kissy on. And now we have the semifinals. We have Yarnaby versus Doey the Doughman. And if you've seen Doey in game and this kind of stuff he can do, how big he can get, yeah, he kind of bodies. Not kind of, he does just body Yarnaby. But I will say, Yarnaby would do a decent bit of damage because, again, he could scratch him up. He could probably bite one of Doey's arms off, even though it's like Doe, so it just come back. But he could, if Doey couldn't really regenerate, quote unquote, then he would stand a very good chance. But, of course, it's Doey. You know, you can't really, there's only a few ways you can stop Doey. And Yarnaby is not one of those few ways. So we're going to move Doey on. Next up, though, we have the prototype versus Kissy Missy. Now, if you have seen Chapter 5 or played it, you would know the prototype has killed Kissy Missy, presumably. So he could definitely do it again. Right now, I will say, I will give Kissy credit. She apparently fought the prototype at the end of, I don't know, Chapter 3 or Chapter 4. I can't remember. I get the endings of those kind of confused. But she did technically fight the prototype. Or at least that's what they made it seem like. Now, she did come out pretty badly wounded. And, you know, she wasn't looking too good after her fight with the prototype. So, you know, in an all-out battle to the death, I'm going to say the prototype moves on. So that's what we're going to do. And now we have our final matchup for the video. And that is Doey versus the prototype. You knew it would come down to this, right? This is one of the most heavily debated fights in the fandom, right? Because on one hand, Doey's pretty much indestructible. But on the other hand, it's the prototype, right? So this one's close, right? This one's extremely close because Doey has insane durability and pretty good strength. But the prototype has insane levels of intelligence, right? Pretty high levels of strength, I would say. And pretty high levels of durability if he survived a train crash, right? So both of them have like insane feats. But who comes out on top, right? That's what we got to figure out. Let's just say it's an empty box, like an empty room in the factory, right? Nothing to each other's advantage. A completely fair fight. I'm sorry, Doey. I think Doey beats the prototype. But if it's just in the factory, right? They're just fighting in the factory. It's not completely fair, right? Each of them can use their environment to their advantage. I think the prototype would win because there is a lot of traps set up in the factory specifically to defeat Doey. And the prototype's like a genius. So he would easily, maybe not easily, but he would definitely be able to lure Doey into a trap and defeat him. So it's weird, right? A completely fair 1v1, Doey would win. But just a normal fight in the factory, the prototype would win. Now, I know some people in the comments are going to be like, oh, but Doey, you know, he fought and scared off the prototype. But Kissy Missy also fought and presumably scared off the prototype. But she can't beat him, right? We know that Kissy Missy can't beat the prototype. So just because a character has fought the prototype and survived doesn't mean that they can beat him. So the ultimate decision, who do I think would win? Overall, it's pretty much tied. It just depends on where. But assuming that they're in a factory for Prototype wins. So that's who we're going to say wins today's video. That's who I think the strongest character in Poppy Playtime is for Prototype. Now, if you disagree or agree, let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you like, subscribe, maybe hype the video, all that jazz. I really do appreciate it. But that is going to be the end of today's video. So, in case you don't do any of that, in case I don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.